Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Mission Matters. My name is Adam Torres, and if you'd like to apply to be a guest in the show, just head on over to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to apply. All right, so today I have on the show Marina Arsenyevich, and she is an internationally acclaimed pianist and composer, and she's also going to be performing at the VIP event prior to the Power Up Conference. This is going to be, for those of you that have been listening to this show for a while, you know that I'm supporting Take the Lead and Gloria Feld and the Power Up Conference that's happening in Washington, D.C. on August 25th and 26th. You can learn more at thepowerupconference.com or taketheleadwomen.com. Marina, without further ado, welcome to the show.
Hello, Adam. I'm so excited to be on your show finally.
Okay, so I watched
I listened.
You don't know, but I was in the audience last year, and I was talking to Gloria, and so you don't know this, but I was in the audience last year. I was talking to Gloria. It was my first time ever going to the conference, and I was like, Gloria, you got to get Marina on the show for me. I mean, this is great. She's amazing, and finally you're here, so thank you.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it was a quite memorable concert at Kennedy Center, and I'm a big, avid supporter of Gloria and everything she does. And when she started her new venture, which was in 2014, I just happened to be invited to first streaming from Arizona State University, and I was just so impressed with the inspirational talks, with their mission, with their ways how to encourage women to find their own powers. So here I am. Now this is the, 11th year, but I think this is the 5th time I have been performing concerts for Take the Lead. Yeah.
That's amazing.
It started during the COVID. Actually, COVID changed the way how we perceive performances. So you can do lots of things online and using new digital technologies. So that's how I learned to be present even during the COVID.
What an amazing story. I want to go further back in your career because though I've listened to your music, I want to know more about your story. How did you get started in music? Like, take us on a little bit of a journey and where all this began for you.
Yeah, so I grew up at the time, Yugoslavia, and it was a very peaceful country, and toy pianos were all around me, and my parents were not musically inclined. My mother was a government official. She was an attorney. My father was an economist, but he was a famous soccer player playing for a national team at the time in Yugoslavia, and they really didn't know what to do with this talented child who really wanted only toy pianos. So the journey started at the age of 6 at the classical ballet class where I was standing by piano accompanist. But I was not interested in ballet, so teachers suggested that they take me to a piano school. And at the age of 9, I had my first concert for the large audience. It was almost 2,000 people in attendance, and mostly my friends from school. And ever since then, piano is my main companion in life. As a matter of fact, I address piano as him.
What a story.
So in the early 1900s, I'm sure you are aware, and especially the audience who follow international affairs, we had very, very bloody civil war. And I witnessed the first-hand suffering caused by ethnic strife, even though we were all raised as one. I'm Serbian. I was born in capital, Belgrade, but I was hopeful, and my parents also, that the music would remind people of their common heritage. So at the time when war started, I was already finishing my school, and I got all these international awards and concerts. And so I said, with classical music, I don't think I can do much, but I can if I perform both Christian and Muslim melodies and rhythms to remind people of our common heritage and create these interwoven ethnic melodies of my childhood in a kind of a classical form, which now you can call crossover. At the time, I was risking my career and safety for the sake of peace. On the final day of bombing, it was 1999, I introduced my composition Kosovo in National Museum in Belgrade. And I will never forget those tears flowing down my face as I noticed that the audience also began to weep as everyone realized that that country, that united multicultural nation, was no more. And this concert it marked a turning point in my life. And a few days later, I left the country by special arrangements.
Wow.
I was not a political immigrant. I came here as an artist of extraordinary ability. I'm the only child, and I never wanted to cut ties with my own people and my own family. So therefore, I came based on my own talent. Quickly, I would say, they said quickly here. For me, it was that year. First year was like a whole life of me trying to find my way in the United States. But then I got my first invitation to perform at Carnegie Hall. And my first concert was 2003, and then followed by second one 2004, and then all largest calls in the United States and Canada. And then I got invited to create a concert for PBS. One of the producers suggested, how about West Point? And at the time, I didn't understand what are my connections with West Point, but I didn't know that West Point has the most, first of all, it's the most prestigious U.S. institution of 200 years, and they have a so-called band, but it's actually like a concert band comprised of professional musicians, and they have Glee Club, West Point Glee Club, comprised of cadets at the time. And they said, Marina, you went through the atrocities of war, and West Point has cadets from 26 different nations that study, and this orchestra is outstanding. So how about you create a concert that we would like to film for PBS? And that's what happened. At the time, I was not even a U.S. citizen, and I always say that can only happen in the United States, nowhere else. They thought that I can unite people through my music, and the concert was named Marina at West Point, Unity Through Diversity. And that concert was aired 550 times over the period of 10 years. It stopped end of 2020. By media, special media tracking report, reached 170 million people. And it became kind of a PBS phenomenon that it lasted so long. At the time, I was even invited to address the Corps of Cadets at that famous poop deck, I was only the fourth woman that was invited from that famous poop deck after Margaret Thatcher, Hillary Clinton, and I believe Madeleine Albright. From Carnegie Hall, I went to White House for First Ladies Luncheon in D.C. and many other performances throughout the United States. But I must say that through PBS, I learned about America the most. Something that I have never left. I never left how I grew up. I always had ties to the country I came from, and especially because that area has been affected by wars. Every generation was affected by either civil war or world war. We were World War I, II, and Civil War, this latest one in the 90s. And until the Ukraine war, that was the bloodiest war after World War II. It lasted 4 years, and many displaced people, many refugees, many deaths. And so I wanted to give a tribute to the people of Serbia and all other countries that composed Yugoslavia, or they called the Balkans. So I created music I called my Balkan Soul while I was in Europe and transferred here. And the PBS show has maybe 60% of my own music where I recreated all these songs and added, I would say, Western rhythms, all the different musical genres in it. So it's a total crossover album with the beat, but the melodies are my own and some that I heard from my childhood.
Wow, what an amazing story. And it's interesting to me because it's when you think about a life and when you think about cumulatively what it takes to get somebody from one place to where they're at now, it's just amazing. And thank you for that, for sharing that. I want to spend some time that we have here, Marina. I'm just shifting here slightly. I want to get into your performance and what you're planning for Take the Lead in the Power Up Conference. So maybe let's get into the Tesla Rhapsody multimedia presentation. And I understand this is an exclusive premiere event.
Yes, so that connects to the story I told you before. Tesla Rhapsody is dedicated to Nikola Tesla, who was a Serbian-American inventor who, as myself, came from Europe to create something that was meaningful today for the mankind. His inventions are recognized as vital foundations for technological era of both 20th and 21st centuries. So therefore, I wanted to create an ode to him. It's a rhapsodic form. It's similar to Rhapsody in Blue by George Gershwin in terms of construction of the piece. So it's for piano and orchestra. And this time I will premiere, it will be really a world premiere at the National Museum of Arts in Women. What meaningful place to do that. It will be a multimedia presentation with the movie that is synced to my music. So I won't say too much, but everybody who listens to the show can go to taketheleadwoman.com, click to newest event, Power Up Concert, and get tickets for this event. I think they're still available, even though that's a VIP concert and dinner afterwards. Speaking of Tesla, when they asked Albert Einstein how he felt to be a real genius, Einstein, without hesitation, replied, "If you really want an answer to that question, then you have to ask Tesla." That movie is talking about everything that Tesla invented, started with alternating current. We all know that Edison invented light bulb, but without alternating current, we would not have transformed electricity everywhere. And based on Tesla invented radio, lasers. If you're talking about anything remote today, it's based on a Tesla invention. And we are coming to Tesla cars, and everybody are thinking that Tesla is the current figure. Not many people know that is based on Nikola Tesla invention, which was electric motor that is in Tesla cars. That's why they named this Tesla company under his name. And so I'm just very excited to present this crossover composition that starts with the Tesla's childhood and his Byzantine chants. His father was a religious man. He was a priest, and his grandfather, he was a Serbian Christian Orthodox priest. And then I'm bringing a new sounds like a jazz, pop elements, ethnic elements, since Tesla spent the most of his life, actually majority of his life, 70 years in the United States and mainly in New York City. So those interwoven melodies that you hear maybe in Gershwin Rhapsody in Blue, where the melting pot, where people who came from Europe started to come at the lower Manhattan, and you hear all these different sounds of jazz and blues mixed in. So that's what I added to this sound, which goes from Byzantine and ends with, I would say, a futuristic sound of victory, even though Nikola Tesla was a tragic figure who died penniless alone in a New Yorker hotel. He had very powerful enemies, and he didn't know how to deal with them. And some of them were J.P. Morgan and Westinghouse, who helped him at the beginning, but then left him. So it's a story of today, too. Today's geniuses and those who invest in a project that, the finance and the idea has to sink in. Everybody has, it has to be a win-win combination. Tesla was really just a futurist and visionary, and he was not a businessman. And he had a big heart. And when Westinghouse came to him and said, "Listen, I will go bankrupt if I grant agreement that we signed." And Tesla, being a great man, remembering how this Westinghouse was the only one who helped him when he came from Europe, from at the time he was a Serbian, he ripped the contract. And therefore he ended up penniless. So Even if we are talking about radio rights, as you know, many people think that radio is invented by Marconi, but after Tesla's death, after 1943, U.S. government granted back patent rights to Tesla.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's just a fascinating story that translates to today's time of an immigrant person who came with big ideas to the United States. Because if you're talking about world, I can say as an immigrant, the United States is still the only country where you can fully realize your dreams freely.
Yeah.
Regardless of politics. We all came here, and as I told you earlier, I still hold at the time a Serbian passport when Vescoin did the show with me. So that does not exist anywhere else. And I feel really privileged to be in a position to be able to say something I wasn't able maybe to say anywhere else in the world. And to still keep my roots. You know, we all here can practice our own beliefs, religious beliefs. Or we can all go to different schools or churches or sing our own music, but we have to stay united and we have to stay Americans because this is a unique concept.
Yeah.
And I believe that music can remind us of this.
Well, Marina, this has been great having you on the show today and learning more about your work, what drives you, what drives your performances. That being said, for everybody listening, if you want to pick up tickets, of course, the Power Up Conference, there's plenty of information there, or taketheleadwomen.com as well is another way. But Marina, if people want to follow you personally or if they want to listen to your music, and how do they do that?
So it's easy. When I came here, they said nobody can pronounce my last name, and you were practicing a few times. So it's marinainamerica.com website or any hashtag. Yes, I'm very active on Instagram. I have almost 1 million followers there. It's Marina in America. It's Facebook. It's YouTube, has millions and millions of views. It's the same, Marina in America. And streaming platforms, I'm on every one of them, from Spotify to Apple and Amazon Music. So I would love your listeners to listen to my music and maybe connect through our common souls.
Yeah, it's amazing. Well, for everybody listening, just so you know, we'll definitely put some links in the show notes. And speaking of the audience, if this is your first time with Mission Matters and you haven't done it yet, hit that subscribe or follow button. This is a daily show. Each and every day we're bringing you new content, new ideas, and hopefully bringing you new inspiration to help you along the way on your journey as well. So again, hit that subscribe or follow button. And Marina, thanks again for coming on the show.
Thank you very much, Adam.